Hi, welcome to Totally Random. Quick bit, I suppose. Everyone's made a pin this way, or that way, or however you like to do it. However, it's a bit, you end up with pins with holes drilled in the side of them. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. So I'll zoom in on that. That gives you as much, that's as far as I can go. Now you can see it's actually not sitting completely true there. Now you could achieve this with a mill, obviously. However, I had this stuff lying around the house and I thought, why not use it? So that was not what I wanted to happen to a grow bit file. Lacking the bubble. Where'd the bubble go? I don't know. It didn't break the tip. I'm going to put them down there. Okay, so we have a drill that's been hacked. I'll put a link to the drill hacking. But basically, get that out of shot. If you take your drill as it is, this will be the supplicant drill for the moment. Take your drill. Down here you're going to find a left-handed, if I can get that in there, threaded screw. If anyone's interested in making this, I can stick the STL file, and the code is, well actually the code to make, you don't need the code, you can make it analog and just run it. The screw doesn't want to come out, because some dimwit hasn't opened that up far enough. Okay, now you do not want to lose that. Usually these are pretty tight. I don't do this, I take no responsibility for what you do with this. If you hurt yourself and crack yourself in the head, that's your fault. Physics is now involved. Now I have one which I've prepared earlier. You're going to have to hold the drill. Okay, so hold the drill like that in one hand, so that the Allen key's pointing out, and then give this end a good whack with a hammer. It should break the tension and wind this guy off. And down in here, want to come out please, you'll find the gearbox. So I have other, okay, if you want full torque in both directions, you're going to want a 4mm tap and some grub screws, and then screw them down till it makes this sound, which is like having it on full lock. That will spin. Now I don't need to do that with this end, however I'm going to. Well, I need to hold it in a fixed position, so far that's worked. Not locked up. But obviously for this end you're going to need something like that. It's being locked up, so it can go full torque forward, full torque reverse. However, that can be increased by increment. That can be accomplished in a number of ways. I was going to attach a flight controller to this 85 amp ESC, which is running some brushless code, hence why that wire's hanging off. Or this 60 volt 20 amp Nfet. So yeah, the basic idea with this was I had a piece of wood. I was looking on eBay for a mill, and just so happens I like to make things, and these bits and pieces were lying around inside the black boxes where magic smoke may or may not come out of. And a really simple way of doing it would be, hypothetically, getting yourself a lithium polymer battery and a charger. I'm using a power supply over there 13, 14 volt at 12 amp. As long as you provide power to that, and you can switch that backwards and forth. I'm assuming you guys may or may not have, depending on what you're into, knowledge of electronics or how deep you want to go into it. However, I've gone a bit silly with this and have a LCD screen and a Hall effect sensor because I want to see the RPM output of that. So I can just set it with a potentiometer, which I have hiding in the box. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, it's sort of half finished, and I've rambled on. Nails, obviously, everything that you want to attend to goes in here, and you've got a clean area for working on it. Yeah, it's a work in progress. I knocked that up in an afternoon, and I'm trying to decide whether I over-engineer it and put tons of electronic crap on it for my own amusement, or just keep it simple, stupid. But I really wouldn't mind knowing what RPM it's spinning at, and I could easily achieve that with something like this. The other thing I was going to add to it was these LEDs. A terrible old lamp over here. Come in the shot. Burning up a big bulb. Two little LEDs, RGBs. I think they're 5 volt. Almost positive they are. So I'm going to hide that up inside the lampshade and have it shine down, so I've got nice light to work with after I desolder them from the board. As for a guide, now back to this part, which was so at some point eventually you've got your printed piece that's printed in ABS. I've got the STL file, I just have to find it. There's also a notch on the top of that. It needs to be ground down. It's a pretty snug fit. So that's 50, yeah, just giving some details. It's 50mm box section, 3mm wall, and they're 8mm nylock nuts hiding inside the printed piece. That's what's grabbing down and giving the pull. So there's still movement in it, and it needs to be shimmed, and that needs to be shimmed up. I'm just going to move that by hand and file with the other. I thought about putting some sort of worm drive on the end of it, but that's like a bit ridiculous for a piece of wood and what people would consider crap. So if you've got old drills lying around, dead batteries, there's a very good chance that the gearbox and motor in them are great, and oh hello, that's something important to mention. If you want to kill some of the noise, that's a 104 monolithic capacitor. You'd want to bend the guy out, just solder in between those two terminals. Obviously maybe a bit of heat shrinks, something so it doesn't contact there or anything else. Tape it up, put a heat hot glue, it's my favourite. So yeah, if you've got questions, leave them in the comments, because I think I'm a bit bemused myself about how I'm going to finish this, which way. I'd like to just use the power supply, but I'd like this to take up the least amount of room as possible. I did attempt to use a smaller power supply, and it just wasn't enough, because these guys can draw a few amps. You can run them on an 85 amp-esque. at 24 volts, but you'll probably burn out the gearbox, not the gearbox, the motor. Anyway, I've just waffled on, so if you've stared at that, you've probably got a good idea of it. If there's comments or questions, please leave them where they need to be. And if you want to build along or build something similar, yeah, I can paste bin GitHub or somewhere. Let's stick the code so people can grab it and make it pretty simple. If you've got ideas on how to improve this, throw them at me. I might try and incorporate it if I have knowledge of how to work that particular idea. Cool. Alright, so that's my take on a pin machine. Once it's running, I'll throw up a video of that instead of waffling for 10 minutes. Thanks for watching, totally random, cheers. Hi, welcome back. Little appendix. Said flight controller before. Yes, you could do it that way using a Bluetooth and an easy GUI app if you were using, say, a Busemark flight controller or, say, Flip 32. But I meant to say Arduino Nano. So that's what was going to run the electronic side of things. So Hall effect sensors, etc. And the reason why I'm using these RGB LEDs is because they're addressable and I can get blue light out of them for impressioning. So that's going to be really handy to have coming out of that lamp. Yeah, what else did I miss out on? Yeah, you can keep it simple like that, and the chucks must be identical. So ask around your friends who may have old drills, because you're almost certain to get a yes out of a couple of people. If all you have to do then is then go buy one working drill and then replace the chuck, you're pretty much good to go. So I may keep this simple, but it depends. I've already wired that up. I'm not going to touch it now at this hour. Just to keep this quick. I think I've really covered everything. There's a sight at both ends for levelling. Once it's all shimmed up, it'll be nice. There'll be a bit of polycarb across the back, just for pins that might fly out or whatever. And what's the other important part to mention? Oh, this is not my design. Okay, that's someone else's. So they suggested I host it on Thingiverse. So I'll have to dig it out and do that if anyone's interested in printing that up for themselves, and go into your local aluminium wholesaler. They'll have 50mm box section there. And don't go buying a stupid length of it, just go to the cut-off section and grab some of that. They usually do it pretty cheap. So I think I've covered everything for the time being. If I'm going to build this, and I'll do a video on it, but if anyone is keen to build one because you've got an old level lying around, it's just something that everything will sit true and straight on. So provided the tolerances for everything else. And it's a bit sloppy, I just cut that with a hacksaw. Nothing you can't do with simple hand tools. Really. And that's it for the time being. As I said, questions, comments, anything else, whack them in the comments. So yeah, that's totally random. Happy picking, and keep it legal. Cheers.